Welcome to Rebuilt, an original series from Bealing Roofing.
All right, folks, welcome back to another episode of Rebuilt, and we have an amazing guest lined up for you, and we thought it best to actually get out of the studio and go on location just because of the special nature of the guest itself, and then also the set ends up being an amazing place to shoot a podcast. So you're going to get a chance to kind of pull back the curtain and reveal the mystery man behind the brand, the founder, none other than Andy Bealing himself. He's got an incredible story about how he got into the industry and then ultimately what keeps him here and what it means to be a Bealing Roofing customer. And then you get to hear a little bit about what makes Andy a human being after all. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. And I didn't really ever think that we'd get to this point, but I would be remiss if I didn't say that I am incredibly excited to finally be sitting down to pull back the curtain on the Andy Bealing story. So let's just jump right into it. And for those who don't know you, right, because I've had the pleasure of knowing you now personally and professionally for quite a few years, and it's been a privilege. But for those that don't know you in either capacity, let's dive in a little bit to the Andy Bealing story. So let's start at the beginning. Where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to school?
Well, I'm homegrown, so I'm born and raised right here in Hanover. And went to Southwestern High School, went off to college for 2 years to Pennsylvania School of Technology, and started in the workforce at the tender age of 19. So I graduated early and got started early. But been in Hanover my whole life. My family's from Hanover, which helps with building a brand in Hanover. So it's been a great place to put my roots down, and my family's here. My siblings are all here. My mom's here. So, yeah. So Hanover, born and raised.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's well, we always say that Hanover is it's a unique place, right? So,
yeah, it was a great place to grow up. It's certainly not the same as what it was as in most small towns in America these days. So, population certainly has caught up to the small hometown feel that we grew up with. So yeah. But yeah, I'm right here in Hanover my whole life.
I think there's a lot of value and merit to that, right? And it's, I think too, there's an element that it's a bit of a privilege to now be a reputable, be the owner of a very reputable brand here in the town that you grew up in, serving people at a high level. I know that I take a lot of pride and passion, and I know that you certainly do as well. And I think sometimes maybe that gets missed, right? So the family owned and operated, I mean, that started like from birth here. So, I think it's great, to be able to call home the same place as you call work, right? So it's, that's pretty awesome. Now, early experiences you talked about, you got out of college and into the workforce pretty early at 19. So what was work for you at 19?
Yeah, so I went to school for a trade, and it was actually called Tool Design Technology, and I graduated with that degree, and I was designing equipment for a company in York and then also a company in Carlisle, and it was a great job, or both of them were great jobs, but I just I got to see the world with those companies, but I didn't like the corporate world. So I was constantly being held back by my raises. I was doing research and development and building equipment, and it was a great learning curve, but I knew pretty quickly that I had more to offer in this life than just being corporate. Okay. So I did that for about 10 years. And then by the age of 28 is when I started running my own businesses. So I've been running businesses in one form or another for a little over 30 years now. And it's been great. I've never looked back. Always loved the construction world. And I've learned how to get in the construction world back in 2007. So started Bealing Roofing, or Bealing, a form of Bealing Roofing in the construction world in 2007. So I've been doing it, and I don't even know what that math is, but going on 20 years now. And it's really been my passion, so I try to build everything and do everything the way I would want it done at my place.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
We feel it for sure.
Yeah.
Now you spoke about getting that degree, and then, it was corporate America kind of turned you away from that sort of work style, if you will. How do you feel though, as an entrepreneur in a couple different arenas now at this point, that degree and just the experience of getting schooling, particularly talking to, maybe up and coming or aspiring contractors, how do you feel like that degree is serving you now, maybe not even necessarily the degree specifically, but that sort of post-secondary education? Yeah.
I mean, I think that certain degrees are valuable and worthwhile. I feel like the degree of the trade was more important. I feel like the kids and the people in our population today, we are lacking the trades in our particular youth. And unfortunately, we're going to end up paying the price for that because of the lack of quality. And when you don't have enough people doing it, that just means the demand is going to be higher, which means that we're going to pay higher prices. So the quality is going to go down, and you're not going to have as many people doing it. So my take on all that is that I encourage kids to get a trade, and the sky's the limit with those trades. And with those degrees, you do get the education of, you have to write documents, and you have to have some business technology, and you have to be able to create spreadsheets and read a calculator and all that stuff that we need today. You don't need all the other, bells and whistles of a degree to run a business in this particular field. But it certainly does make a difference. Yes.
Yeah. So it's still serving you.
Still serving me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's good. It's good. And I think that a lot of people, take comfort in not only working with or even in the sense of hiring someone that does have some formal education. I think that there's just some comfort in that it says a lot about who you are, as an individual. But we are getting into a point in time and in society where post-secondary education is that sort of viewpoint is being challenged. So, hearing it from you and all these years later that, the post-secondary education was still a worthwhile experience and it's still serving you, I think that goes a long way for other people that are wondering, do I just go straight into the workforce, or do I go and pursue an education?
Yeah. I mean, I remember writing documents in college, and I'm like, I'm never going to have to write documents ever in my lifetime. And I find myself writing documents all the time. Right. So, yeah, I use my education, and I use the, when you go to college or play a sport or any of that stuff, you have to get up in the morning, and you have a schedule, and you have to keep all that. And that's all part of it. Right. So you have to, there's discipline involved with it. So I think that's a portion of it as well. So, but it's not, to me, it's a flip of the coin. I think for certain things it's great, and for certain other jobs I don't think it's necessary.
Maybe not necessary, right?
Especially the cost.
Yeah, specialized skill is certainly I think is the X factor, right? Is having that in today's world, right? If you could be specialized in one thing, if you can get that early, I think that'll serve you for a very long time. But great. So going back then, you mentioned that Bealing Roofing started as something else. So how did it get started? I feel like I know the story, but let's hear it from your side. I know you said construction really drives your gears. So
yeah. So I believe it or not, I built my own home or homes. I built my own homes. So and nobody really ever taught me how to do it. I just kind of can watch somebody do it and know how to do it. So 2006, I sold a business And I really didn't know what I wanted to do. So I started just tinkering around with remodeling, doing it myself. So, somebody called me up and wanted me to put new porch railing on their porch. And that's really the very first job. I remember going up to a neighbor's house because I didn't have anything I was doing that particular day. So I went up and started installing some porch railing. And that led into somebody else asking me to do some flooring, and next person asked me to put a kitchen in, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll do a kitchen." Then I started buying some houses, and I started remodeling houses and flipped a house, and then in 2008 when the crash happened, I was buying houses and renting them and remodeling the whole entire house, and started hiring some people to help me do it. And started building some inventory with some houses. And it just kept snowballing into remodeling. And then one day somebody asked me to put a roof on. Then it was siding, and we did some gutters, and we started putting windows in, and I started falling into that trap of, oh my gosh, there's nothing that we can't do or we won't do, which was a mistake. So we weren't specializing in anything, and we were taking on everything. It was just a fire, a dumpster fire. So it was as many jobs as I wanted, as many jobs as I could handle. We were doing them, and until I decided one day that enough is enough, and we're going to specialize on the exterior. And it was a great move because people still come to me today and ask me to put a kitchen in, or can you remodel my basement, or can you put a deck on for me? But the answer is yes, we could, or we can, but not efficiently, and certainly not at the profit margins or at the where the customer's happy, because we got there quick enough, and there's all different reasons why we don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah. And I think that's a common pitfall in home improvement, right? Where I think that most home improvement contractors would agree that they're capable. And I think that their capabilities sometimes exceeds the leash that they should put on themselves to really kind of hone in, figure out, what is it that you like doing? What can you really specialize in and deliver not only a specialized product, but specialized service? And then the trap ends up being, like you said, if you say yes to everybody, then ultimately, and across the board, then ultimately people are going to end up disappointed because you can't be all things to everybody, right?
Yeah, it really ended up being that. We were disappointing customers where we were taking on, somebody said, can you do a deck for me? And sure, we'll do it for you, because when you know how to do it, you just hate to turn it away. And it's still even painful for me to turn it away. But we found that it was, those were the customers that we were disappointing the most because of the timing and the labors and all those issues. So, that's why we just decided to specialize.
Yep. So from doing a little bit of everything from the foundation up to now it's strictly exterior. So, for those that don't know, in terms of the Bealing Roofing Exterior Services, like what have you honed that down into today?
Yeah. So in 2017 is when we changed the name and we made it Bealing Roofing and Exteriors, and we have honed it down to just the roofing. So really roofing and gutters and chimneys. So really we love to say from the gutters up is really what we love to do. And we also do some siding, but the siding is really more of I have to approve it, because again, it's just siding is like siding is connected to too many things. It's connected to the windows, and it's connected to the garage doors, and it's connected to the decks, and so there's too many items that go with the siding, the porches and the porch railings and the soffits and so forth. So we really specialize in the roofing, and we've become so good at it, and that it's our niche. That's what we're known for, and we're really good at it.
Yeah. Did you ever see it? Like, did you ever see it being roofing as a specialty? Like, was that ever even in the thought process?
When I switched it all over, I was one of the original people in the Hanover market that said, okay, I'm going to go just dive into the exterior and do the roofing. And then a lot of people followed the lead. But did I ever see it? No. I saw myself actually building homes and developing and putting developments in and doing all that. And I tried that, and it was just too many pieces, too many parts, too many. You know, you gotta pick out the color of, you know, the faucets and the lights, and this was, it just didn't work out
a lot.
Yeah.
I think that there's, you know, for people that have never had to really hone in on one thing as an entrepreneur, I think that there is just an unrealized value to someone that just says no and stays in their lane and said, this is what we do. It's what we do day in and day out. It's very black and white. If this is what you're looking for, we can do it, and we can do it at a high level. And I know, you know, we're consumers too, right? So when we look to hire on other trades for projects around our homes, or you know, I wouldn't want somebody that's building the deck to necessarily also be the guy to replace the timing belt on my car, right? So there's what probably capable, but yeah, those are two totally different sort of disciplines. So, you know, being able to hone in on that, I think it takes courage, because like you said, it's hard to say no when you're able-bodied and you've resourced like you are. But it's interesting that you said that the developments, because that's a big deal, right? Big risk, big reward. So even then, to be able to say, you know what, the risk necessarily may not be worth the reward. Did that come up too? Not necessarily just all of the intricate moving parts, but was there like a risk versus reward?
Yeah. So when I was getting ready to do it, and I did buy some land and I was developing it, that was back in the 2007 and 8 time when the big housing crisis hit. And so I went from flipping houses to renting houses because I couldn't flip them. So the economy had a huge factor in the development and developing houses and land. And the other part of that is that I am too critical of my work, and so I'm constantly trying to make it better. And my work became too custom and not production. So my personality just didn't line up with being able to produce houses at the right price where people could afford them. And it just became obvious that it wasn't the right way to go.
Right. Volume over quality. And you have to be able to probably turn and just kind of look away from certain aspects of that.
And I still had that same problem when I was creating rental properties. I was making them too nice, spending too much money on them. It's just who I am. I just want everything to be perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, anybody that knows you knows that you don't cut corners. And that's a huge part of the reason why I've stuck around, is because this brand doesn't represent cutting corners.
Right.
So in roofing, then 2017, Bealing Homes became Bealing Roofing. And then just a few short years later is when the introduction of the partnership with Owens Corning came in. So for those that are listening and watching that don't really understand what that means and how powerful to have a big global brand like Owens Corning representing you. I mean, and what did that mean to you to be hand selected as someone to, you know, really be their right hand in this market?
Yeah. So, when I went to Owens Corning, or Owens Corning and I got together, the relationship and the partnership was immediate. Like I could feel it genuinely with Dan and the guys at Owens Corning. So I became Owens Corning. I was bleeding pink. Mm-hmm. So it was from the very beginning. Every roof that I put on was an Owens Corning roof. And it's on my home, it's on my mother's home, it's on my siblings' house, and I could put any roof that I want on my house. So I believe in Owens Corning the way I believe in Bealing Roofing, right? So they go together. To become an Owens Corning Platinum contractor, it wasn't like I set out to be Owens Corning Platinum. I didn't really understand what the badge of Owens Corning Platinum even meant, to be honest with you. I just wanted to put on the best roofs, and I wanted to do it with the best quality and the best people from the very beginning. There was no cutting corners for me. I wanted it to be perfect. I wanted every line to be straight. I wanted every nail to be put in perfectly, and there was no cutting corners. And the people that recognized that was Owens Corning. They came to me. They said, we want you to be platinum. We think that you deserve to be the platinum contractor in the area. And there's reasons behind that, but mostly it's because of the way I run my business, the integrity of how I run my business, the way we put our roofs on, the way we stand behind it. It was important to them, and it was always important to me. So it was just a natural relationship that came about, and I take it extremely serious, and it's very flattering to me that I'm the platinum contractor in this particular area. Yeah, so it's been a great relationship.
Most people probably aren't aware of it, but an Owens Corning Platinum contractor represents like 0.5% of all roofers in existence. I mean, that's like the top of the top. And having standards, I mean, that's one of those things that they look for. And to get into that top 0.5%, there can't be any tolerance for standards, no deviation, right? It's a standardized process across the board. Like you said, every nail is placed perfectly today, tomorrow, 2 years from now, 2 years ago. It's all the same. What does it take to achieve that level of standardization? Because I don't think that even from my seat to actually put together a production department that is committed to doing it that way every single time, no deviation from that level of quality or standard. Like, how does that even happen?
Well, it takes a lot of work for sure. But it took me a lot of hours being out there with our crews and making sure that they were doing it exactly the way I wanted it done. And when I say the way I would want it done, I would say really what that means is the way I would want it done on my particular house, right? So I don't want a exposed nail on my house, and I don't want a ridge vent that's going to blow off, or a pipe boot that's not, put on properly, or the flashing this detail that's not done right. So I made them rip it off over and over and over again until they knew exactly the way I wanted it done. And then I had to teach my production department to do the same thing. So, so Jeff in production, he knows exactly the way it needs to be done. And so between training Jeff and training my crews, they know exactly the way it needs to be done. I don't need to go inspect roofs anymore. Owens Corning does. They do it, and they come out and they inspect our roofs for us. And they do it twice a year, and they pick whoever they want to pick off my customer list. And then I meet them out there, and we go over the roof and we look at them and make sure that they're up to the qualities of their standards in order for them to warranty the roof and for me to remain a platinum contractor. So it is the standards of the way we install it, but it also is the standards of the way I run my business. So, it has to do with making sure the insurances are all up to date, and it has to do with the integrity of our company, and it has to do with us being professional and having an office and the trucks and the brand. So it's not just how many roofs do I put on a year, and it's not just making sure that the nails are put in straight. It's the brand and the badge of having it on our shirts. That is Owens Corning takes as much pride in that as I do. So they want to make sure that we're representing their brand as much as I'm representing mine.
Right. I know there's so much talk out there about, home improvement companies and roofing specifically, over the last 10 years, I mean, roofing has exploded, right? I mean, it's like, it's on every corner, right, so to say. And I feel like the common denominator in the roofing world talk is about like how effective can you run the business. And I think a lot of times people forget that it doesn't matter how professional you are in the home. Like, you actually have to go out and put on a solid roof after it all. Otherwise, I mean, you're going to get voted out of town the next day. So, I think did that component come first to be able to really nail down production and make sure that we had a solid product, or was it, which came first there, sales or production?
They came together, to be honest with you. I mean, it was always important to me to put on the best roof or the best kitchen or the best bathroom. And when I did the tile work, it had to be perfect. Like, it has to be perfect every single time. So I was given perfection in roofing, and my personality and my name in the Bealing, or in the Hanover area, people knew me, and my reputation was in the construction world was, I think, was good. So the roof started coming, and my quality was high from the very beginning. And I just worked and worked and worked to make sure that once I took the tool belt off, that the people understood that the quality couldn't go down. And that was hard, so it was a lot of supervision and a lot of watching and making sure that it was perfect every time. So whether or not that answers your question.
No, it does, for sure. Right?
Yeah.
It's I mean, you can't have one without the other.
You can't have one without
right?
the other. So
if you're out of balance in any of those, in any part of that equation, sales can't outweigh production and vice versa. They are symbiotic, is what you're saying.
yeah, and I always said it's a seesaw. When you add money to get more leads or get higher sales, then it becomes more difficult for you to produce, and then you get people, and then you don't have enough jobs. So it's a seesaw effect in order to get it to the point where you want it to be. And we still seesaw, but not nearly as much. We're very consistent with our work and the quality and the amount of roofs and jobs we do in a year's time. We're still growing, but it's just more stable.
Right. It's hard to achieve stability in home improvement, particularly when you're first getting started in those first year or two or three. I mean, those are critical years. You either get in or you get tossed back out, it seems like. So I know those are precious years. And I feel like some of the things that you just mentioned about making sure that you had this equation, right? You mentioned healthy business, right? Having lots of integrity on the business side, from an empirical standpoint, right? And you mentioned building spreadsheets, from back when with your education there, being able to measure the health of the business from your seat now, where you really do get to work on the business on a daily basis. What does that mean for a customer to work with someone that is not only doing a great job, but is like on the roof itself, but is also doing a great job behind the scenes of making sure that the business is healthy? Like, how does that actually impact the customer on roof time?
Well, when your business is healthy, that means that you can afford health insurance, or you can afford insurances, and you can afford to make mistakes and not cut corners. Because if you, let's just say, for example, we put the wrong color roof on your house, which doesn't happen, but if we did, we would take care of that. We would tear it off and put it back on, and our company can survive it with no difficulties, right? So, or if somebody got hurt, right? So we have enough insurances in place so that, again, we can survive, and you're not going to feel the pain of that. Where a lot of other companies go wrong is, they're not charging enough, so that they think, well, we're just going to charge a smaller amount because I need to get a job in order to pay the guys, and in order for me to get to tomorrow. And the only way they survive is by cutting corners, right? So the next thing you know, you're not getting the ice and water shield or the flashings done right, or how fast can I install it so that I don't have to pay my installers as much money. So there's all different ways that they're going to end up cutting corners on that if you're not charging enough money. So our business is very healthy. It's been healthy for a long time, and I can rest, and all my employees can rest their head on the pillow at night, knowing that tomorrow is going to be another great day.
Right. Yeah, I feel like ultimately what it ends up translating into is that the customer kind of can rest comfortably knowing that things are going to go well as well, that they can trust in that because they see it, right? They see it from the moment we arrive to the moment the first shingle goes down to the moment the last truck leaves, is that it's a well-run company, and that all translates into a great customer experience.
Yeah, I mean, we have people that answer the phones, we have customer service, we have the production manager and an assistant, so that if you have a question, we're going to answer the phone for you, and we're going to come back out. So it's, yeah, I mean, my job is to make sure that every one of our customers is taken care of, right? I mean, that's our number one thing on our list. Make sure the customers are taken care of. And second of all is make sure the employees are all taken care of. It's not about me. If I do those two things well, then Andy Bealing is going to be taken care of. So it's, our customers 100% is the reason why we get up in the morning, making sure that everybody gets taken care of the way that I want to be taken care of.
Right. Over the last several years, I think that the culture of the company is really it speaks true to that narrative, right? That the customer absolutely comes first, and as long as the customer gets what they want, then everyone else within the brand gets what they need as well. That for you, from your point of view and from the seat that you're in now, just kind of watching that culture really set in. What's that experience been like? So I feel like that's something that you really have to be able to hang your hat on, just to see this culture sort of evolve and take care of your neighbors.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm very blessed with what I have and what I built, and it came pretty naturally to me. Like I care a lot about what people think, and I love to help people. But the Bealing brand is not necessarily about having my last name on it. It's the brand, and it's the people that work for me. We all have the same common goal, and that's to make sure that we take care of every customer, no matter if it's fixing a piece of fascia or putting a $50,000 roof on them. We treat them the same way. So do I have a lot of pride in it? I have a tremendous amount of pride in it. It is my baby. I treat it like it is one of my babies. But the brand itself is very flattering to see our work as I drive down any street within a 20-mile radius of here. Just about every street has one of our roofs on it, or one of our job signs that sat in that particular yard. It's very flattering, and it's very honoring, and it just means that I did it right, or we are doing it right. So it's been a fun ride, and it's a long ways from being over.
Yeah, for sure. And that's like we said about Hanover being a unique place. You have mentioned too that it's a growing place. So the level of impact that you've been able to establish here in Hanover, it'll just going to continue to grow as Hanover continues to grow. So I'm certainly excited for you and your family to continue to bestow upon that the impact that you've had, and really create a legacy here of what home improvement, specifically on the exterior side, what it should be like. And it's certainly been a pleasure to be a part of.
Yeah, I've been running it now like it's not a roofing business now. It's more of it's a people business. So it hasn't been. We just happen to put roofs on, right? So, but I've been running it now for the last 5 years. It's extremely important that we have the right team that has the same mission, right? So it has the same goal, and And we went through a lot of people that didn't have that same goal, right? It was more about, how much money can I make, or what time can I get home, or, what health insurance plan do you have for me, or uh, do I get to take a company truck home? So it was more of a me attitude or an I attitude, and now it's all about the team, right? So now, if you're not really a part of the team and buying into that team atmosphere or environment, then you're really not going to survive here with us. So it's been, everybody's buying in and everybody's understands what the goal is here. So it's been great.
Yeah. Yeah. It is nice to have a team that's already from day one has already kind of bought in on that mission of servitude. And that's really what it is. So for those that are in consideration, and I think this is helpful for anyone that's thinking about following in your footsteps and modeling what you've done, because it is nothing short of impressive. But for the homeowner, what is that in consideration? I mean, what does it mean to even consider Bealing Roofing? Like, how does that, because you said we're in the people business, we're not in the roofing business. So what does that mean? How has that felt? And what does it, in your own words, I mean, what does it mean to be a Bealing Roofing customer?
Well, it's, you become a friend, right? So when we run into you in the grocery store, we're not running the other direction. We're going to say hi and shake hands and ask how things are going. And hopefully, when I used to go out and sell, I knew who your family was and who your friends were, or who your kids were, and so forth. And we got to know each other personally, right? So it's, that's what you get. And you get us as a, you can call us back at any time, and we're going to come back out and take a look at it and fix it if there's any particular reason we need to. It's just, you can lay your head down at night knowing that the last thing you need to worry about anymore is your roof, right? It's you need to start thinking about, remodeling something else in your house, and it's not going to be your roof. I promise you, when you put a Bealing Roofing roof on, it's pretty much the last one that you're going to have to deal with. And that gives me a lot of pride. And that's one of the reasons why we do it. And it's one of the reasons why I use Owens Corning, because they have that same attitude.
Yeah. I think that there's alongside of that, and customers getting peace of mind from your brand and the employees within, because of the work that they do, because of how healthy you keep the business. It allows you, alongside of Owens Corning, to not only do a good job on day one, but then also keep that promise. It's a lifelong promise, right? So as long as you own the product, then we're here to back that up. So I think that there's a lot of misconception out there around warranties, and it really becomes, unfortunately, a sales manipulation, and there's not a whole lot of truth to it. And as a result, a lot of the value and integrity around warranties have eroded.
Yeah.
I think that, while from our seat, it may sound like lip service, but because you were so dedicated to craft and quality, anchoring yourself to a reputable manufacturer like Owens Corning, having that legitimate warranty, just to maybe speak to, over time, when there has been a problem and with Owens Corning backing you up, what's that experience been like?
Well, it's only ever happened a couple times where we've had some homeowners that thought that they had some warranty issues. But if I call up Dan at Owens Corning and say, hey, I got a problem with a customer, that they don't like the way the granulars look, or they think that our install wasn't quite right, he comes out with me, meets me with the homeowner. We get up on the roof, inspect it, and so forth. And if it's determined that we made a mistake, or if it's a warranty issue, or if it's a manufacturer's defect, it's no questions asked. We're replacing the roof. Owens Corning stands behind all the materials. And if you have the platinum warranty that goes with it, they also stand behind all the workmanship that goes with it. That's with or without Andy Bealing and Bealing Roofing being in business. So let's just say, hypothetically, Bealing Roofing stops. I'm just tired and I don't want to be a part of it anymore. Bealing Roofing is gone. Owens Corning now steps in and they replace that roof. materials and workmanship all for free. It has nothing to do with actually whether or not Bealing Roofing installs it or not. That's like unheard of, right? So that's what you get when you buy an Owens Corning Platinum warranty or get that warranty badge with it. Means that they believe so much in Bealing Roofing that they will replace the roof and pay for the workmanship to install it, which is unheard of, right? So it is the only one that's doing it, and it's we put that warranty on 99% of the roofs. We put it on.
Yeah, there's only some limitations to.
Yeah.
You know, Owens Corning certainly has limitations, but if it's a single family home,
Yeah.
like 99.9% of our customers, then it's no questions asked. You get that. And that's a benefit of working with Bealing Roofing. So we're not playing that warranty game. It's a real warranty. If you do business with us, you get it.
Yeah. And the other manufacturers, and maybe even Owens Corning does it, you know, if you're not a platinum contractor, it's easy for them to say, well, you didn't put the ice and water shield down properly, or you hot nailed, or you put 4 nails in it instead of 5 nails, or you put in 3 nails instead of 4. Or so they just come up with, the other manufacturers, I've seen it, they come up with 100 reasons why they're not going to replace it. And it's almost always exclusively because the roofer didn't put the roof on properly to the manufacturer specifications. They're not, you know, these other manufacturers and the other roofers are not getting inspected. They just basically say, we installed, you know, your shingles on this color.
Right.
And you now have a warranty, which really generally is voided out once they come and inspect it.
Right.
Happens all the time.
Right.
Our roofs are 100% guaranteed, backed by either my workmanship warranties or if I'm not in business anymore, then Owens Corning is really on the hook for it, and they're not going anywhere.
Yeah. So leaving your mark in craftsmanship is really, I mean, it's a legacy, right? There is no trouble, but if there's something real there, whether you're here or not. So, you know, speaking to that, you know, you kind of crossed all the lines here in terms of, you know, what got us to this, what got you to this point. So what's the lasting impression that you want to, I mean, unfortunately, Hanover can't have Andy Bealing forever. And, you know, I think that it's, at some point, Andy Bealing's going to have to retire, but what impression and what statement are you looking to make on Hanover? Like when you look back, what do you want people to remember you by?
You know, I want to be known or remembered for quality and the brand of, you know, 20, 30, 50 years from now, you know, you still have this Bealing logo or brand that people are saying, hey, I need a roof. Who should I call? Should be an immediate reaction, or that is Bealing is the right person to call. And it's all based on reputation, how we treat our customers, how we treat our community, how we give back to the community, which we haven't even talked about. You know, my legacy, it's important. It's important for me, for my kids to be proud of me and be proud of what I built. But even if it ended today, Jordan, I'd be satisfied. Like I built a heck of a business, and I do it right, and I do it right every single time. So if I unplugged today, I could put my feet up and
I'd be with it.
I'd be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And I think that there's far more people that wouldn't be able to say the same thing. Like they hadn't gotten there. So
no, I'd be good.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, okay. So then there's probably a couple other questions too that I think that we should definitely get to, just to make sure that we don't leave any sort of stones unturned, because this is a rare occasion where we get to pull back the curtain, because you're not out there at the kitchen table with our neighbors anymore. So, you know, it's just in closing, just a couple of things. So Let's speaking to the homeowner and speaking to the up and coming contractor who wants to model the successes that you've had. What's one piece of advice that you could give a contractor that's trying to build it the right way?
Well, the way you do it is to get people who are smarter than you to be on your team, right? So I have you as my sales manager and my marketing manager, and you're a lot smarter than me in those particular fields. You may not be smarter than me at, creating a spreadsheet. So the way you create a business like I have is finding the people and surrounding yourself with smart people, and then taking calculated risk. So building a business and doing the things that you need to do in order for it to become successful, there's risk. There's risk involved, and there's costs involved, and there's trucks to buy, and there's equipment to buy, and then there's employees where you have to pay for payroll, and you just build it slowly, and you take a risk, and you do it calculatedly. So it's another risk that most people aren't willing to do, right? So most people, when you hear the word risk, they're like stepping back from the cliff, right? So for me, I've always taken risk, always been calculated about it, never been afraid of it. But the most important part, well, two things is treating the customers properly and charging them properly, right? So in order to run a successful, healthy business, you have to charge the right prices. Right. And I'm not afraid of the prices. I'm just not. Look, if you want to have Bealing Roofing install your roof, which I think you deserve, there's a price that you need to pay me for that. I don't run my businesses based on low prices or low prices means low quality, and low quality means you're going to go out of business. So if I was there's multiple things, but charge the right prices, treat your customers right, take calculated risk. Don't be afraid.
Put the right people
around you.
Yeah.
And watch what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. So recruiting is certainly a huge element. Being in the people business, both internal, external, having the right people around you will enable you to do all of those things. And it's no longer a race to the bottom. It's a race to who can do the best job. And I think that's a game changer in the home improvement industry. That's unfortunately,
and we have just as much trouble finding great employees as anybody else. But if I find somebody, I do hire them regardless if I have a position for them or not, because I know how valuable that person can be, right? So we'll build our business around hiring people that we don't even necessarily have a position for. I'll make a spot for you if you're good and you really want to be a part of our team.
Right, that's that hire before you're ready mentality.
Hire before you're ready.
Yeah,
yep.
Yeah, exactly. When you find somebody good, just sink your teeth into them. Then, what's a good takeaway too for homeowners that even if they're not looking to hire us to put a roof on, if they're just looking to hire a contractor in general, what's the number one thing that they should be looking out for before they sign on the line?
Well, you need to do your due diligence, first of all, so you need to go online and you need to look at what other people had to say about the company and what they did and what they have to offer. So there is that transparency today, right? So if you do a bad job, everybody's going to know about it with Google and reviews and so forth. I also think that if you don't make some mistakes along the way, then they're probably not real, because look, we make our mistakes, right? So, last year we served 520 customers. So we had 520 customers that we brought in as a new customer, or either put a roof on or fixed the roof or did something for them in particular. And out of those 520, you're going to make a mistake or two. So I think you need to go out and you need to do your due diligence and make sure that you're hiring the right person. And then if you're going to just go get 3 bids and you're going to take the lowest one, I think that you are setting yourself up for failure. I think that It's not necessarily you need to find the highest bidder either. I'm not saying that, but if it's all about price, you can find somebody that'll put it on for a pizza and a case of beer. Really, you can. So for the homeowner, I think you're going to get what you pay for. If you can afford quality and you can afford to hire a team versus a person, I think that you're setting yourself up for success. And I think that if you don't do that, you're rolling the dice and you're going to get what you get. And I've been on so many jobs and got up on so many different, been to so many houses where they had a house or a roof installed 2 or 3 years ago, and I'm just shaking my head saying, who put this on and how much did you pay them? It's sad.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a lucrative industry. And when people see that, they get in quick.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that yields a lot of opportunity for people to be taken advantage of.
Yep.
All right, awesome. Well, I think lastly, because the retirement has to come at some point, and who knows how long. Hopefully we keep you for another decade at least.
Yep.
But what's retirement look like for you? What's going to make Andy Bealing happy in retirement? What do you do?
So I do think retirement is getting close. I think that it's probably a year or two away. But I look to have my foot in the business a little bit. And then after that, it's travel. It's, my son plays baseball in college, so I like to go watch and do a lot of that stuff. But, and as you can see, I'm a big hunter. So, hunting is a passion of mine, and I really want to go around the world hunting and, travel and spend time with my family.
Yeah.
And, watch the business continue to grow without me, so looking forward to retirement. That's probably one of the most things I'm scared about out of everything is retiring. And, building a business isn't that scary to me, but retiring is kind of a little bit scary.
Yeah. Well, you have to train yourself for a new job.
Yeah.
Retirement's going to be like a job that you're just starting
Yeah.
out. And I think that you'll do a handsome job of it without a doubt. And fortunately for you, it's always just right down the street, and you'll get to watch it from, a bird's eye view, so to say. So for the rest of us that stay intact to the brand, it's going to be our pleasure and our privilege to carry that legacy on and make you proud from the sidelines.
Yeah, I don't anticipate you guys messing it up. I've trained you well.
I think that we're going to do a great job. We've had a great role model to follow, and while you're still around, I encourage those to come in and actually get some face-to-face with you and really feel, that pride and passion that you bring to the table. I mean, because you are the man behind the brand.
Yeah.
So it's been a privilege, and I know that your massive customer base, I know that they've felt that as well. It speaks for itself when you go online and look at that sentiment that you've so carefully curated. I think that everyone would echo what I say, and that it does mean something different.
Yeah, I have to be honest. I do miss that one-on-one reaction or that relationship that I built with so many customers. I do miss that. So when I see the customers or when they come in and they walk by and I don't go over and say hi or whatever, it does tug at me a little bit. So I do miss that portion of it. Is what I enjoyed and what I loved doing was meeting people, and I love running into those customers that we serve. So this is Andy Bealing, and anytime anybody wants to stop and say hi or be a part of my life, I'm open arms.
Excellent. Well, it's been a privilege. I mean, I think it's been a great story to tell, and we certainly look forward to just continuing to carry your mission and your vision forward. So, Andy, thanks a lot, man. This has been fun.
You're welcome.